Good afternoon, everyone. This is Richard Kuhns, author of How to Get Your Life Back from Morgellons, chronic Lyme, and other skin parasites, along with my co-host, Robin. Hello, Robin. How are you today?
I'm good, Richard. How are you?
Great. Our topic, Morgellons is like a puzzle. One of our coaches was talking a little earlier before the program started about having just started one of the medications that we recommend and how phenomenally he's improved or noticed a difference by just adding that one thing, But Morgellons is like a puzzle, and it's rare that the puzzle is just one piece, It's oftentimes a lot of pieces that get put together. So what I'm saying, the chances of finding one thing, like you go on Facebook and say, oh yeah, I did this and my problem was solved. Well, it is probably less than 5% that there's going to be one thing that's going to do it. And until you find that one thing, you might have to search for, 1,000 things. And guess what? Unless you are on the King diet, you could find that one thing and it wouldn't make a difference because the parasites are going to completely obliterate any chances you have of that one thing being successful. Because once, you can have any number of different cofactors, problems, bacterial, viral. Today we're talking about Candida Albicans. Yes, Robin, you like to say something?
I would like to just say one. So I had a call from, I just want to encourage people about the diet, and I got a call from someone I've been coaching this week, and actually it was a text, and she said, I don't know what to do. All I've done is bathe with the soap and finally start the diet, and I don't have any biofilm. Is something wrong?
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Yes. Let me just state something. I have an online store with the best products in the world, supplements, disinfectants, soaps, creams, lotions, and you know what? I don't want anybody ever buying anything from me unless they get that diet to kick in. Now, I had a lady this week where, hey, I bought this and this and this, and I want a refund. We're not Home Depot. You understand? We're not Home Depot. One of the things she ordered was, one of the things she wanted to keep in her order was probiotics. Well, she hasn't been, she's been getting updates since 2017. She hasn't been, oh yeah, I see your updates trying to sell stuff, Okay. No. My updates are there to inform you what our stuff can do for you, but not trying to sell stuff. I'm trying to sell you on the diet, on getting well. That's the key. Now, don't do the diet. No, don't do the diet. Make it kick in. The diet is phenomenal, but unless it kicks in, it's a waste of time. So if the diet has, now what happens when the diet kicks in? What happens to the itching? Where does it go, Robin?
Out the window.
Yeah. What happens to the biting sensations?
Stops entirely.
What happens to your sleep?
8 hours.
Right.
8 hours.
You might even think you're cured, but you're not. No. That's how powerful the diet is. Then all these phenomenal products we have, boom, take you off into cloud 9 of getting your life back faster than you can ever imagine. And sure, you can make mistakes along the way, and you can have backslides. We've all gone through that. But the protocol always works. Always works. Now, you might think I'm here to cure you, that we're here to diagnose you, or that we're here to treat. Absolutely not. In fact, the FDA requires me to inform everybody that none of us, Robin, Anna, Nick, Megan, Ethel, are medical doctors. They're all the coaches, by the way. We're not here to treat, cure, mitigate, or fix any disease or skin disease. Before you start the King Diet or accept any of our recommendations that we're going to talk about today, that you're to discuss them with your medical doctor to make sure they do not interfere with any health problems you presently are experiencing. What I'm here for, and our coaches, our wonderful, fantastic coaches who devote their time for free, is to educate you on how to utilize the King Diet. You know, I don't know what the hell a diet does. You know, it's low in phosphates, you know, I don't know. It's experimental, and I just know that things happen that otherwise don't happen without that diet. It's not a treatment. In fact, it's probably the healthiest way of eating that you can probably find on the planet. I mean, try all the this is the healthiest diet, you know. Yes, red meat is on the diet, but don't go to, I was reading the other day what they make McDonald's hamburgers out of. It's chemically modified, you know, and don't just eat hamburgers, you know. The diet has got fresh vegetables, leafy green vegetables, everything you need to be healthy. It's phenomenal. So when the diet kicks, we're here to educate you how to use that diet, how to clean your body through bathing to get the organisms out of the skin, how to clean your environment to keep from getting reinfected. So when you do all those three things, and also what targeted supplements. Now, the supplements we have, do not use other supplements if you're in my program, because I've researched every one of them that we use. They are the best in the world. They do not have ingredients in them that feed parasites that other expensive, fantastic, wonderful supplements might have. And don't start with probiotics. You know, that is in all of our literature, because probiotics feed. So this lady who's been here since 2017 and wants to return, she hasn't, and she never completed the questionnaire. So don't get involved in taking anything we have in a store unless you're educated about how it works. And when you complete the questionnaire, I will evaluate it and send you back detailed recommendations, and the recommendations tell you what each of the things are for. But our topic today is Candida. Last week we talked about fungal organisms in general. And I mentioned briefly about Candida last week, but you know, we've been doing these programs for what, about 2.5 years. This is the first time we've actually looked at Candida albicans. Now, there's also Candida auris. There's another strain. Boy, that's a super bug. And I'm not saying that what we are sharing today will or will not impact Candida auris. It's a super bug, very serious, and as bad as COVID-19 and as bad as MRSA. But it doesn't help to utilize everything that we share here with you today to deal with any fungal organism on the planet. Now, Candida albicans has been around a long time. It's becoming more and more prevalent because of a couple of factors. Number one, it seems like our diet keeps going to hell. More and more, as you find more junk food, more junk cereals, more sugary things, and we start feeding our kids this crap and send them to school with these little bites. You know, I love these little bites. Okay, you hear all these commercials and stuff like that. Refined white flour. This is 99% of what you get in the grocery store is products with refined white flour and sugary stuff and cereals that do nothing but poison you. So our diet is going to hell. And the second thing that is a problem is that there is this thing called glyphosate, commonly known as Roundup, that every Home Depot and every Lowe's sells, and they should get it off their shelves because it's an herbicide. It's been linked to cancer. It'll be linked to diabetes. I mean, they've already set aside like $50 billion to handle all the claims from specific types of cancer. But what it does is it is a lower level antibiotic, very much like the stuff they used to feed chickens years ago. And they stopped chicken farmers from feeding antibiotics to chickens because the antibiotics get into our food supply and destroy our gut biome. And the same thing is happening with glyphosate. It is getting into our gut biome through the non-organic foods that we eat, and even sometimes you got to question the organic foods. It's sprayed on the crops to kill plants that instead of using cultivators on tractors like we did when I was a kid, we have chemical farming now. So you plant and you spray the field with glyphosate, and it kills off all kinds of plants except the one that you want to grow, but the plant absorbs the glyphosate, and the feedstock, or if it's into any of the, there are vegetables that are grown with it, we get it in our bodies, and it's in water soluble, so it's in certain areas of the country, particularly in the Mississippi Basin, and higher levels than anywhere else in the country. So we get it into our systems through the water and even sometimes the air that we breathe, and it deteriorates our gut biome, and we end up with overpopulation of bad bacteria and fungal issues. And one of those fungi is Candida albicans. Now, my first experience with it was about 40 years ago, long before I even knew about skin parasites. So it exists by itself. It doesn't need Morgellons to be happy, And I had gotten it from an addiction to Dunkin' Donuts. Man, I had to have donuts every day. It was right. Shop was right across the street. I would walk over there like some idiot and buy donuts and bring them back and eat them. I don't know. I was just a nut about donuts. And I got fat, too, as a result. And the symptoms for me was my digestive system just stopped. And if you ever have an idea of what that means, it's like the food lies in your stomach and doesn't digest. It felt like a lead balloon. A lead balloon. I was fortunate because, I recognized what was going on. I went on an anti-Candida diet. They were published back then. The medical profession knew nothing about it. And when I wrote today's update, I looked for diagnostic tools. So, can you identify if you have Candida albicans? Well, back then there was none. In fact, the doctor said that there is no such thing as Candida. They disavowed Candida being an issue, much like they disavow Morgellons today. And many doctors also disavow Candida. So I looked it up, and you believe there's a list of things like this? You have to be a specialist. Don't expect your general practitioner. I mean, it depends on what areas of the body they suspect you might be dealing with Candida and how it affects you, so what tests they run, and then you have to, all tests have to be interpreted. So you really, if you want a diagnostic in Candida, you need to find somebody who actually specializes in it. Now, why different parts of the body? Well, here's the reason. It was not a big issue for me because my gut biome apparently wasn't necessarily totally threatened. But with glyphosate today, and glyphosate came like 20 years after I had my first experience with Candida albicans, my life might be totally different today with glyphosate and Candida. Because when the gut biome gets interrupted, we also, another thing that people have never really heard of until the last maybe 2 or 2.5 decades is leaky gut syndrome. What is leaky gut syndrome? Well, the mucosa, or the cells that are between the intestines and the bloodstream, they are like the gatekeepers. They let the nutrients that we consume and assimilate, that pass through the intestines, they let the nutrients into the bloodstream. And we thrive. And we are healthy. Leaky gut syndrome means that the junctures of the mucosa, they become sick. They become small. They become weak. The space between them is no longer tight, but opens up and lets toxins, poo-poo, excrement, Candida albicans, into the bloodstream. Now, when you let this stuff into the bloodstream, it has access to every organ in your body. And of course, that's why when they're testing for Candida, where is it going in your particular body? Where is it going to your brain? Is it going to your liver? Is it going to your heart? So they test in different areas, different tests for different areas of your body. So there are actually, in chapter 4 of the book of How to Get Your Life Back, my book, are 5 stages of Candida. It can be very serious. So, Robin, would you give us a rundown of, some of the basic things at each of the 5 stages, the symptoms that would be typical that one would be experiencing?
Sure. I've got the book right here. So, in stage 1, mucous membranes are affected. Each day one seems to be more sensitive to everything in the environment. You may develop bronchitis, sinusitis, tonsillitis, strep, or staph infection. In some cases, mononucleosis or pneumonia may be involved.
So even stage 1 can be very serious. And the first thing she said is the mucous membranes.
Right.
That is the issue. The mucous membranes become weak and let these things happen. So stage 1 is no picnic. Well, what's stage 2?
Well, wait, I want to just say one more thing about stage 1. Some of these conditions are treated with antibiotics, and they fuel the Candida.
Oh, God. Antibiotics. The last thing you want, and we've talked about antibiotics over the several weeks, and unfortunately that's the thing the doctors throw at you is antibiotics. And yes, when antibiotics are involved, they kill off bacteria. Now, they not only kill off the good bacteria, which has already been threatened by you having Candida, they kill off all bacteria. So what does that do? It gives open rein to Candida. Of course, they will treat you with antifungals in hopes to keep that from happening, but I mean, it's like trying to swim upriver. What's stage 2?
Okay, stage 2 is accompanied with pain like muscle tension, migraine headaches, muscle and joint pain, fatigue, arthritis symptoms, infections of the nails, and sometimes psoriasis. Wow.
So there you go. A lot of health problems that people go to for doctors are never going to get treated effectively because until Candida is identified, they're going to continue. You're not going to get rid of the headache, the migraine. You're not going to get rid of the arthritic conditions. Your diet is bad, and you need to have this all fixed. What else? What's stage 3?
Stage 3, difficulty in concentration, focus, forgetfulness, memory loss, mental confusion, forgetting the right word for something, dyslexia, although you can have dyslexia.
You can have it without Candida.
Impairment of skills such as typing, playing a sport or a game, confusion, which can contribute to crying spells, depression, sleep disorders such as insomnia, nightmares, sleep apnea, not feeling rested or restored, anxiety attacks, muscle twitches, epileptic seizures, and sometimes people who are experiencing stage 3 may get diagnosed with either bipolar or schizophrenia when it's actually Candida.
Right. So look at all this. Half of the doctors could be put out of business if they identified it correctly in the beginning. And there are so many questionnaires that I get when I ask, how are your eating habits? And they say, terrible. When they are a pretty good candidate for Candida. So, and that's stage 3. What's stage 4?
Stage 4 gets more serious. Many organ systems may begin shutting down. There can be endocrine system failure, adrenal stop, digestive system shuts down, which can create severe constipation, vomiting. Fatigue can result in total muscle weakness, body rashes, hives, boils. Capillaries can become clogged, resulting in hypertension, coldness in hands and feet, numbness of the extremities, easy bruising, constant low-grade fever, tachycardia, difficulty in breathing, which can affect speaking, singing, or even walking can happen, and failure of the immune system, which leaves the body defenseless against enemy bacteria, viruses, and all kinds of diseases,
like Morgellons.
Our Morgellons, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to get rid of Morgellons until you get rid of Candida. That's for sure. You're not. And I'm amazed that people can get to that level, to stage 4, without recognizing that gut isn't doing any digesting and that the food they eat just lays there like a lead balloon. But it happens. So Candida is a bad, bad actor, and stage 5 is the ultimate. Do people die from Morgellons? No, but you can die from Candida, and that can be stage 5, absolutely. So the goal is, in this series that we're talking about, is to deal with the cofactors that make it impossible, because, as I said many times, Morgellons itself is not a big bad bear. It can be pretty well handled. It's all these cofactors that are involved. Strongyloides cervicalis, 5G EMF, or not, even microwaves and things of that nature. Lyme disease, spirochetes. It could be syphilis involved. It could be other bacterial infections, other viral infections. So there's a list of cofactors that I've published in a previous update, that it's important to deal with them and move them out of the way. Identify them if we can and move them out of the way. Now, specifically with Candida, number one is the Candida diet. Now, you can go online and find maybe a dozen Candida diets. But if you're dealing with skin parasites, they're no good, because all they're going to do is feed. For instance, they have olive oil, very healthy oil, and that's only going to feed the skin parasites and make it worse than trying to swim upriver. It's like trying to swim up a falls. Like you got to be a salmon. No, you can't do it. you can't do it. It's got to be the king diet, or you're out, and you've got to make the diet work for you. That's number one. That cuts off the supply. Candida, these fungal organisms, thrive on sugar. Anything that gets converted into sugar easily. So it's the refined grains that you get at the grocery store in your breads and your cakes and your cookies and all that out the window. The crackers, except for the Rivita crackers that we recommend, made of rye, out the window. Oh, I can't believe how many people think they're going, Candida often contributes to excess weight. I can't believe how many people actually buy the advertising that 0 calories in their soda is going to help them lose weight. Out with all of that junk. No sugar substitutes. The skin parasites love you when you have the sugar substitute, but get rid of that. So anything fermented, alcohol, all of this will contribute to feeding the Candida. So you want to get rid of all of that stuff from your diet, and that's what the King Diet does. Gets rid of all that stuff. So now, what this does is it cuts off the food supply that feeds them. But you still have it having leaked into your system, circulating through your bloodstream, circulating through your organs. So the diet alone isn't going to clean them out of the rest of your body. So this is where you want to look at specific targeted supplements. And one of the things, you know, I didn't realize this, I've been talking about fungal issues for a long time, but not specifically Candida, is that MSM, methylsulfomethylane. You know, I'm a chemist and I can't pronounce that, but it's organic sulfur, and we have it in the store. It comes in capsules. It's also in the super MSM gel that you buy and you apply to your skin. But organic sulfur capsules is one thing to do. Next, now in general for all fungal organisms, MSM is generally for the Candida and the stomach issues. Now for all fungal organisms, since we want to make this about all of them, is to go to Lufeneron. Lufeneron is generally a pet medication that, for some strange reason, no doctor in this country will prescribe it, but every veterinarian in this country will prescribe it for your cat, your dog, your ferret, your chicken. And so we do have a source in Mexico. It's actually shipped to you from Texas. But Lufeneron inhibits the production of chitin. Now, what we want to do is look at what fungal organisms are comprised of. Now, there are, I don't know, maybe thousands of different types of fungal organisms that we can be infected with, breathing them in with spores from going hiking or something like that, and they can get into our lungs and cause a lot of problems there. But all of them are comprised of chitin. Chitin is like the mortar that holds a brick wall together, is the metaphor that I use. And Lufeneron doesn't go after the existing chitin, but it inhibits the production of new chitin. So the fungal organisms that are floating through your bloodstream and into your brain and into your liver and the pancreas and every place else, they suddenly can't reproduce in kind because that is blocked by Lufeneron. And we have a program available where you take one capsule a day for 96 days, and with a pat of butter, some butter. You need to have butter with it to activate it, or fry your egg in butter, or, you know. Now that blocks the production, but that alone may not be enough, because, you know, we need to go after it with a vengeance. So the next thing is to look at what to deal. Well, there's another inhibiting supplement, and that's the calcium Dayclex that we have in the store. Now, all fungal organisms also have a root-like structure. A root-like structure. They're not called roots, they're called hyphae. And it's this root-like structure that absorbs the nutrients from your body, or from whatever the, I mean, you see mold growing on sheetrock. Well, the hyphae go into the sheetrock and absorb nutrients from that sheetrock. So, but when we're talking about Candida, the hyphae absorb nutrients from our bodies. So calcium Diclex is an inhibitor of them producing the hyphae. Underclaic acid is one of its ingredients. So that Lufeneron and the calcium Dayclex are two things to inhibit them from multiplying and growing. Now, what about the existing? Well, the existing, I found a phenomenal enzyme, the kinase enzymes that we have. And what the kinase enzymes do, remember chitin, the thing that keeps the blocks together, the organism, you take out the chitin and the brick wall falls. Well, the kinase enzymes go after the chitin, the existing organisms, and starts deteriorating it, breaking it down. Now, one of the benefits, this is a phenomenal, it's one of our top-selling supplements because it's so powerful. It also goes after mouth parts of mites, and mites would be another program we can have, as they're the vector that often brings Morgellons to us and lives in us and reproduces in our skin to propagate these organisms. But okay, so mites are another cofactor, but nevertheless, while we're looking at this phenomenal supplement, it also goes after the mouth parts of existing organisms, and they're comprised of chitin. And one other phenomenal benefit is that it's actually promoted by the company that produces it, Claire Labs, not as an anti-chitin, but anti-biofilm. Biofilm. So it goes after biofilm. So when we're talking about things like spirochetes and Lyme disease that is known to create its own biofilm, and Morgellons disease, which is also oftentimes biofilm complication, well, this is a supplement that goes after it. So you put these things together and you've got a pretty good arsenal to deal with any kind of fungal organism. So remember, this is my recommendation. Discuss it with your doctor, because I'm not a doctor. Let him, tell you whether it's a good idea or not. I doubt that he knows. But anyway, that's what you're supposed to do. So now, let me see if I missed anything. Well, yes. I've got everything that we need to do to cover the going after the fungal organisms. But now we need to get back to the gut that broke that, the soldier that let the guy in, the soldier that fell asleep, and that is the mucosa. Remember, they are still weak. And how do we get those repaired? Well, you got to feed them. You have to feed them what they like. And they like a specific sugar, not sucrose or dextrose or something that's going to feed the parasites. They love L-glutamine, which is also in our store. And the reason it's there is to feed the mucosa so they can get fat and healthy and tighten those junctures. Now, one other thing we need to look at is the gut biome that's been destroyed by glyphosate and poor eating habits. And, well, what are we going to do? Well, if you read, people say, well, probiotics. And this lady, like I said, she wanted to keep the probiotics. The worst thing she could keep. I mean, our flora core enzymes are phenomenal, and they have probiotics, but only when you're in stage 2. And probiotics are phenomenal for Morgellons. Phenomenal. But from the information I gleaned from the questionnaires that I analyzed, 90% of us have Columbella as well. Now, I don't know if Columbella is a vector that brings Morgellons to us, or if it's the mites that bring both the Columbella. I don't know. I don't need to figure this out. All I know is if you're also dealing with Columbella, probiotics, feed them, and they're out until you reach mid-stage 2. So what do you do between now and then? Between now and then, you go to prebiotics, and you go to our blog, BethMorgellonsCure.com, and you search back do a Control F and do a search for prebiotics, probiotics, prebiotics. There are articles there. But this is where the salads come in. This is where the superfoods in the diet, raw onions, leeks, scallions, garlic. Oh, that's one other thing to offset with Candida doesn't like garlic. So with the King diet, garlic is on it. Eat a lot of it. Eat a lot of raw garlic. It's good. It's phenomenal. So when you use the prebiotics, you then build your own probiotics. You put it all together and you have a phenomenal program to deal with Candida and any kind of fungal organism that wants to stand in your way of getting your life back. Anything to add to that, Robin?
I think you covered it all. That was really good. I don't
A to
know.
Z. A to Z. Of course, that's only Candida and fungal organisms. And we talked about skin fungus a couple of weeks ago, and we still have mites to deal with. We have, we've talked about EMF. There are a lot of other cofactors as well. So
Right.
you pretty well get an idea. Going for a medical test for Candida may not be an easy thing to get. First, you got to find somebody who knows their ins and outs about Candida, who is a medical doctor to order the test and know how to interpret them. Hey, if you're overweight and you've been eating a lot of junk food, and if you have digestive issues, well, by all means, it's highly likely that you're dealing with Candida as an issue. And along those lines, being that your digestion isn't working well, then you definitely also want to add in our agro-relief enzymes. They're also called gluten relief enzymes. But on our diet, we have very little gluten. The only grain there that has any gluten is spelt. And for some reason or other, spelt is not an issue for 99% of the people on the diet. So there you have it from A to Z.